Hi everyone, let me get this started here. All right. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Hi everyone. We are going to do our next webinar. Today's topic is advanced search. We wanted to focus this webinar on this very specific feature within ENFOS. This is one of my favorite pages in the entire system. I talk about advanced search in many of the other ENFOS webinars that we've previously recorded. And I frequently talk about it when I am together with you on meetings or in person. This page is a perfect combination of easy to use and really strong results. There's so much functionality wrapped up in this page, and I want to spend this time showing it off and showing you how to maximize your usage. We do get told from a lot of our experienced users that we want to learn more about reporting, and advanced search is the best way to start that reporting. It's all on a single page, and it's a great place to begin. So let's get started. All right, so, as always, this webinar is being recorded and you're gonna receive the slides and the webinar recording after today's session. Everyone's in listen only, so be sure to use that question panel. And we are going to answer those questions at the end of the session from the Q&A portion. So be sure to use those questions. I am your speaker, Torrie Behrens, and I will be leading the session today. And what we're going to talk about today, really, we're going to look at some of the basics for advanced search. We're going to have some advanced example use cases. And we're going to talk about some of the additional functionality and features. And to be honest, some of these are not so straightforward. So even if you are familiar with advanced search, some of this additional functionality you may not know about. And then, of course, we're going to wrap up with those questions. All right, so my advanced search page, we're going to do a live demo today, but I did want to show this last screen on where it is. It's this in the gray box here at the top in your left panel. It says advanced search. And then of course there is a link that says advanced search. You click that link and that's where we're going to be focused today. So let's get out of PowerPoint and let's get into ENFOS. All right, now I'm on my ENFOS homepage. And in my left panel, just as I showed in my screenshot, I've got my advanced search link. And when I click that link, that's going to take me away from this page and take me to where we're going to be focusing this whole day. And that's on this advanced search page and all of the different options within the advanced search. I may, throughout the webinar today, close my left panel, toggle that left panel close. And you can see when I do that, I do lose that advanced search link. So just keep in mind your access here is that advanced search. So I'm in a test system and all the data I'm looking at is fictitious and I do have full permissions. So I may show some things today that you don't have access to. I have a main menu option. And then under finance, I actually have 6 submenu options. So in total, that gives me 13 different pages. Each page has different options in them. And we are going to talk through every single one of those pages. We're going to start today with hierarchy and site module. Then we're going to go into finance, and we're going to end with the data module. All right, so hierarchy, this one I really like, and once you understand how this page works, it becomes really, really powerful. And I've heard from many of the project managers, you know, this question kind of comes from them, and this hierarchy page is a great way to search that. So for example, maybe I want to know all of my projects in a business line, and my business line is mining. So I type in mining. I can use wildcards, as I see here at the bottom of the page. And maybe I want my results to tell me my projects, all of my projects under mining. I type those two things in. I click search. And when I scroll down, I get my results. You can see there's a maximum of 5,000, but at the bottom of the page, I see my total result count at 47. The page defaults to 20 rows, but I could increase that with my drop-down menu. I have my pagination, of course, and each one of these rows is a link. So I can click any of these links and it will navigate me to that project. And of course, I can download this also, and it's going to download what I see in the screen. So this is another great way for me to get really a very fast report output. ENFOS always checks your permissions before giving you your results. So, you know, anything I'm showing here matches my permissions. And if you're running this report, ENFOS is going to check yours. This is only reporting, right? So you cannot break anything by running these searches in advanced search. And it's great to come to these pages with an idea in mind. Just like I said, you know, I want to find out all of my projects under mining. That was my kind of first step, and then I can build off of it. This page, of course, and the options I see in the first column are unique by your client's own hierarchy. And I'm just showing you my example from my system, but yours is going to look a little different. And at the bottom of the page, I can always click clear to clear my search options. So those points are going to apply to every one of these pages as we move on. And there will be more functionality or different functionality as we toggle between the different advanced search pages. But many of that functionality does apply. So similar, if I want to see my sites in Illinois, I can type in my state for Illinois. And instead of seeing the result as a project, I'm going to select the site and I'm going to click search. Now, I'm no longer using that business line. Here you can see I have retail, I have other, but it is giving me a full list of all my sites in the state of Illinois. So as you change your criteria, you're getting different report outputs. Now, we were looking at each of these sites, but it's just giving me a site name. And of course, I can click this link and it's going to take me to that site. But maybe I know more site information that I want to query off of. We're going to keep working through all of our advanced search pages. And that means I am going to go to site next. This is your level 17 in ENFOS. Again, for each client, it might not be called site. It might have a different name. This allows you to search some basic site information. Great examples are the active sites, right? So my environmental status of active. Again, I can search address information. Here's my state, my country. I can use different drop-down menus to filter that data. What I also like on this page is that vendor contact. And this is a great way to search which sites apply to which vendors assigned to those sites. Now, if you are a vendor user, that will most likely be defaulted to your vendor company. So you may only be able to see your sites. You won't be able to see other sites. Of course, that depends on how your user account and your permissions are set up. I also like the contact. And if I click assign for the contact selection, I can select myself. And now I'm going to run a report. And I get the contact. I get a list of the sites where I'm listed as a contact. And I see 198. What this is great for is, maybe I am actually a contact at 200 sites. And what this tells me very quickly is there are then 2 sites where I'm missing as a contact. So it's a great way for me to do some data validation. So I know I'm properly added as a contact, which may then be used for different report output. Again, I can use any of the links for navigation. And I have a few more columns here for, information that may be listed for my site. I can use, one or many of these fields in conjunction to get the search results that I'm looking for. A lot of times we hear from our clients, I know what city my site is in, but I actually can't remember the site name. So this is a great way to search that city or any other address information to get your report output. This information is all pulling from the site summary field, right? So that's where we're sourcing that information and where we pull those fields. And this advanced search, it's a lot like reporting, where the screens here, they're not editable, but it's only used for information. Now, in ENFOS, below the site level is the project level, and that's our level 20. You can see there are similar fields. And on this page, I want to highlight a very important checkbox that we see on many pages. And it says search only within current hierarchy node and below. And this checkbox gives your advanced search a lot of power. Right now I'm at the full ENFOS company, but I'm going to change my hierarchy and then we'll use this checkbox. So I'm going to go back to mining. And in my hierarchy bar, I'm now at that mining business line. And I'm going to select this search only within the current hierarchy node and below. And that means no matter what I select on my search page, it's only going to be searching under mining. So this is really, really powerful to limit your search results. I was on a call earlier today with Alexa Russell, and we were using this current node and below for almost all of our searches. So we really, really recommend using this. Now, this is all I need. I can say, I want to see my mining projects below this level. When I click search, I get my report output, 47. Now, compared to our first search on that hierarchy page, where I only received this first column, I have a lot more data here. I have a lot more information. And what you'll see for each of my column headers is I have sorting. So I can use these columns headers to automatically sort by alphabetical any of the columns available. So it's a little bit more functionality available on your screen, which gives you a bit more power for your search and the results you see. Now, of course, I can still use my links to navigate to any of these projects. And just as before, I do have a download. I want to click the download in this example because I wanted to show an example of what it looks like. There we go. Now, it's really just our CSV file with columns and rows. Once it's in Excel, of course, you can use this report as you want. You can build your pivot tables out of it, you can filter it, and some of our reports you can even use as a template for importing data. So the advanced search is really great that it allows you to download and export your report. And that download does match your filtered information that you searched on your advanced search page. All right. All the rest of the fields here really are shown at the top are some of the ENFOS standard fields. Some of the fields might have different selections depending on your custom valid value list. And I do know that some clients don't use every one of these fields. So there may not be search results related to those. And just as we looked at the site level, another really popular field we see at the project level is the status as well as the contact. All right, we're going to stick with the site module, and we are going to go to the activity search. And what this maps to is the site activity calendar. And what this does is it helps you search in that activity calendar. I like this report and this advanced search. What I see it used for a lot is overdue. So I want to know a report of any of my activities that are overdue. So I select overdue and then I click search. When I do that, you can see I have 28 overdue activities. I've got my links again, including links directly to that activity, and a few other status fields. Of course, as I change my advanced search page, my result output changes. So this is great. You know, the activity type we know is also really important for our clients. This is another example of a custom valid value dropdown list. And a lot of times our clients might be concerned with maybe one or a couple of activity types. This report is similar to the reporting module for the miscellaneous activity report. And there's less search options here, and there's less columns in the results, but it does get very close to that report. So what's nice about this advanced search screen is that it's a kind of a quicker, all on one page way to report out similar information that you might run in the reporting module. All right, staying under the site module, but starting to branch out a bit, we're going to move to custom fields. And custom fields is another name for additional information. And you know we love additional information at ENFOS. We have an entire webinar dedicated to this functionality. I'm going to open a new tab and take a quick moment to look at these tutorial videos. And this is where we store those previously recorded webinars. So as I reference these other webinars, we can see them listed here. Right here is the additional information training, where we talk all about additional information. And I can tell you, since this has been recorded, there's been even more functionality available. Typically, the most recent webinars are at the bottom of this list. All right, so back to the advanced search. This page is very custom to each client. So what I'm showing is specific to this ENFOS owner. What you see is going to be completely different. And that also means your use cases are going to be really different. We were looking at this the other day, actually with another client, and they said, our team is really familiar with this legacy ID that we used to have. And now we store that legacy ID as an additional information field. How can we search it? And this is a great way to search any of those fields, for example, that legacy ID. I like to use the field name where you can click assign, and I'm going to select my field assessment pass or fail. I want a quick report for this field. I could leave it like this and search it, but what I want to do is actually only see my failures. So I'm going to select my lookup value based off of that valid value list for failures, and then click search. And when I do that, I see this additional information field custom to this client, to this setup, and I only see my values for my failures. I see that I have a count of 28, and it's, over multiple pages right now. There's a few columns listed here, and of course, just as before, I can download that. This is a really good one to remember, that you do have the clear functionality, right? Because otherwise you might not realize that you can clear what you've selected and then make another selection from another advanced search field and do your search from that point. This can search not only the site additional information, but it can search additional information that's added into different modules in ENFOS. Right? So this is not specific just to site, but we know, of course, many of you are storing and tracking your additional information in the site or the project modules. So that's why we kind of grouped it together here. All right, next is document search. And this is where we get into some very cool additional functionality built within this page. And as you can imagine, I can search my documents, I can search the hierarchy node, and I can make selections on maybe the file type or the module where that document was loaded. But there's a lot more here. So if I search, benzene, for example, this is not only searching the title of the documents, we're also searching the contents of the documents. And you can see when I look at my search results, I'm getting a lot of documents with benzene in it, right? And it's not necessarily just matching the title, it's searching the contents within the documents. So it's a really, really powerful search to search all of your documents that you have access to from this advanced search page. I can also download my documents straight from this page, right? I do not need to necessarily navigate to where the document was uploaded to download that document. I can download it, right from here, and then that puts it into my download list. We do show, of course, where the document was loaded, the module it was loaded by, and any updated information. So this is a great additional functionality that some of our clients don't realize is here, is not only can we get a list of our documents, but we can search the contents within those documents, and we can download the documents straight from this page, and we can navigate to where those documents were loaded straight from the page. Sometimes our clients will say, we need to know all the documents loaded at this project, whether it's in the data module, the finance module, activity, site module, we need to know all of them. And this search within the current hierarchy node and below is a great way to do that. You can navigate to that site, click that checkbox, and get a list of all your documents. All right, so a lot of really powerful functionality. Document search is really great. I know we talk about this in our documents webinar as well, and we have a few other examples there. Let's move into finance, and there is a lot embedded within this single finance selection. It's the only selection in our advanced search page where there's sub-menu items or sub-modules listed here. And you can see each one of these are very close to the submodules listed under our finance module here in ENFOS. And there's a lot of data within each of these submodules, and we know a lot of this is very critical and very important to each of you, which is why we have dedicated an advanced search page to each of the finance submodules. I'm going to run through some common examples, and there's also a lot of other great functionality within these finance advanced search pages. We're going to start at the top and work our way down. All right, the planning status. There's a few fields here that I think our clients use a lot. The first is the status field. And as your plans go through the review and approval process, they work through different statuses. And sometimes it's great to know what is outstanding. I want to run a search for everything that's pre-approved. And of course, I could select many options. But if I select pre-approve and then click search, I can see here that, Ivana has a plan still that's pre-approved, but not yet fully approved. And maybe I've got an internal deadline by the end of August that all of my plans need to get fully approved. That tells me that this one needs action still. And I've got to make sure Ivana's next approver has this and is going to review and approve it or make those edits if needed. There's a few other fields here that I think are really, really powerful. First one is last approved only. And you can imagine if we're at a project like this example project here, we've got a lot of plans over time, right? We've got 6 over time for various scenario types and potentially expense types. I might not want all of them. Right, I might not want to report just with all of those items. Maybe I want a report just for the most recent at this project. So I'm going to use our project example. I'm going to say this node and below just to get results for this project. And the only other thing I'm going to select is last approved only. If I click search, that's going to show me the last approved plan, fully approved plan for each scenario type. I see my last approved low and my last approved probable. It's a really great way because we know that last approved, that's our effective plan. So it's a really great way to see that effective plan. And you can imagine if you're running it for a larger set of nodes instead of a single project, that's going to give you that most recent plan for all of your projects. We also, of course, include expense type and scenario type. Maybe you just want to see those probable plans, and you don't really care about the lows right now. So you can use those drop downs to make the selection. When I search this, I get a couple results. You're going to see a little bit more functionality here. First off, I have actions. Now, we did not see any actions in our site advanced search page, but as we move into finance, you can see I have action item dropdowns on my rows. Of course, again, this is checking the permission that you have, as well as what actions are available for this specific transaction. But, if you think about maybe your action items dashboard that you see when you log in, this is really similar. And it's a great way for you to take action on your transactions. And you can get kind of your full summary of maybe all of your plans that may need an action taken from you on this advanced search page. Sometimes we hear from clients too that they need to take action on something that is not on their action item, right? It's not on their action item page. This is a great way to navigate to that. You can use the advanced search page and then take action straight from this page. What's great is many of these open in a new tab, so you can keep your advanced search ENFOS tab open. You can take an action and then come back to this tab and your list is there and you can keep working through your list, your to-do list. All right, I've got one more item to talk about on this page, and this is only available when you click download. And normally, and when we looked at a little earlier, when we clicked download, the download matched the columns shown in screen. But on this planning page, there is more functionality. When I click download just from the planning page, I get another option. The as shown is downloads exactly what we see in the screen. But if I export as the planning data import, this exports my data with more information than shown on the screen. And it actually puts that data into the ENFOS import format for the planning data. I can choose to include last year's information as well as an option. But when I click export, right, that's going to export my data, and it's in ENFOS's import format now. So I've really built myself a template in Excel to look at the data that's in ENFOS, or to maybe use this to import data in bulk. Now, this is available on this page, obviously, when you click download. If I was in the reporting module, this is also available. It's under a report, under financial planning, and it's called the Plan Export Report. And if I look at my options on this page, all on a single page, and then I go over to reporting and select my financial planning plan export report, those columns are going to match what we saw in our export. And if I wanted to see the information, I'm going to select that in step 1. If I wanted to see the criteria information, I would need to click the Add Report Criteria, and then Add again. And here we get very similar fields to what we saw on the advanced search screen. We do even have a few more options. So the reporting module is much more robust and gives you more options, but you can see it is very similar to the advanced search screen. There's a lot of overlap. And that's why I really like to talk about the advanced search screen, because once you get comfortable on this advanced search screen, it will make you an even more comfortable user for the ENFOS reporting page. So keep that in mind as we continue to move through each of the financial pages. All right, we've talked a lot about planning. Let's move into proposals and purchase orders, and we'll start with the proposal page. Just like planning, we do see status. Another very important field is vendor company. Again, it may default to your own company. I'm going to select ENFOS as my company. And I can click to see those search results. I have 5 rows. Just as we saw with planning, there are action items available for my proposals, depending on that status. There's another really important field on this page that our clients really like, and that's at the bottom. And it says change proposals only, or change orders only. Instead of seeing a full list of my proposals, maybe I'm only interested on which one of those are change orders. Maybe I even want to run a report on how many change orders by vendor I have in a timeline, like maybe year to date. You can see of my 5 proposals from ENFOS, only one of those was a change order. So it's a great way for me to kind of run a quick report and do some quick searching on my combination of my vendor and my proposal type. We do know also, especially for our clients that have been using ENFOS for a while, this approval date range is really, really important. Maybe we don't care so much about stuff that was approved 5 years ago. We just care about 2023. So a lot of really great fields on our proposal As I move into the purchase order, there is definitely some overlap on my purchase order page. I do have some date ranges, which are always really important as well. If I use that same vendor selection, I am no longer going to see each individual proposal, but I am only going to see my purchase orders, right? So that list goes down to 2 of those purchase orders in various status. I do get my amount summary as well as my invoice amount and my percent invoiced. So it's giving me a really quick summary of my purchase order status right from the advanced search page. All right, let's move into Invoice. There's a lot of fields on the Invoice page, and we know that this Invoice advanced search page is a really strong page that a lot of our clients use. So again, we see the vendor company. We have subcontractor selections and contacts. We also can list the types. Remember, invoice is that ENFOS sourced invoice, whereas the reconcile would be the ones that come over from the general ledger. So, maybe I want to search my invoices for my company for ENFOS. And I can click search. And I just have a couple. You could clear that selection, and this is a great way to search for the status paid, right? Invoices that have been paid already. I can do that search and get a few results there. But we have other date ranges, which are really important as well. We've got that invoice date, which is entered by the user when they create the invoice. We have the submitted date, which is automatically recorded by ENFOS when the vendor submits the invoice to the client for review and approval. And then finally, we have that approval date, right? All on this page. So there is a lot here, and this page is really helpful for, many different roles in ENFOS. If you're a vendor, you could maybe check all of your invoices in the rejected status. And if you are an employee user, maybe you want to see anything that's still reviewing or pre-approved. So you can add more than one status to that list. You can also enter in a purchase order number and see all of your invoices against that single purchase order. And of course, vendor companies and contacts. Now, this report is really similar to one of our most used standard reports, and I'm going to show that one very quickly, and that's the finance invoice report. So just as advanced search has a set of columns and a little bit of report criteria, this ENFOS standard report for invoice has a ton of columns, and it has a ton of report criteria. There's a lot of options in this invoice report. Sometimes I find myself starting on advanced search, and I have a question in mind, and unfortunately, the advanced search does not have enough criteria for me to get what I'm looking for. That's when I then move to the reporting module to use the bigger reports, these standard reports with a lot of columns in it and a lot of report criteria for me to be able to filter down and get the results I'm looking for. So again, use this advanced search to build off of and get more into the ENFOS reporting. Finally, we've got, of course, the action items, just as we saw on the other financial pages. And one other thing that we know our clients like, you can actually search the check number for paid invoices. So that's kind of cool. All right, a few more under finance. We're going to look at the SAP projects or the general ledger project numbers. This is a great report for our admins. Let me run this at a higher level in the hierarchy. Get some results. All right, great. This is a great report for our admins, and it gives us a full list of these project IDs with some standard data that's associated with it. And of course, we can download it or use this to link over to where these are managed in the administrative settings section. So very simple. This one does not have a lot of criteria on this page, but we know it's a important query for our admins that need to search this information. All right, our last finance advanced search page. We have the claims module, and this links to the last submodule under ENFOS, the claims. And if your client's using this, it's to track any of the receivables that you get back at your projects. I like this that you can search many of those fields. Again, we've got the check number, but we can type in our payer name or the type or the status. And let me do a search. I only have one item. You can see there's no actions here like some of the other finance pages, and that's because this is really used to record information. There's no actions to take on these financials. But just as before, we do have multiple links, and these links are going to take you directly to that information in ENFOS. So it's a great way to use this for navigation. You could imagine, maybe we need to test something out at ENFOS, and so we need to find a claim because a user has reported an issue on a claim. So we use this advanced search page to find any claim. We use the links to navigate there, and from that point, we can look at some of the data loaded, or we could do some testing or kind of build off of what's already there. All right, so that wraps up our finance selections. There's so many different options and kind of different combinations all within this finance advanced search page. We, like I said, at ENFOS, we are really using, especially the finance search, every single day. And we use it to find some of the things you've worked on or to help support with user questions. It's really strong and it's really powerful, and it's all on one page. All right, the last page we are going to look at is the Analyte Search. And this is related to the finance data module and specifically to the analytes loaded, which can then be used in the data module. There's a lot of results here by default. So again, I can search, I can filter down my results. And now I'm seeing, just benzene. I still have quite a few, of course, but I filter down the results. I get just some basic information with my CAS number, the type, and the subtype entered. So this is a great way, great information, especially for our clients using the data module. Sometimes they'll say what analytes are available in the system. This is a great way to search that analyte list and see all of the options available. All right, I know we went through a lot of pages, and I do want to reiterate a few of the key fields. I'm going to go back over to my project search and just remind everyone, current hierarchy and below, very, very powerful, and it searches wherever you are within the hierarchy. The drop-down menus shown match what is in your system. We've got date ranges listed. And if we think about finance, of course, there are some action items available straight from the finance page. Let's take a look. There's some actions right on the finance page. We've got some powerful downloads. And of course, all of these advanced search pages work with this reporting module, and they show similar information as we see in the ENFOS standard reports page. So if you are interested in learning more about ENFOS reporting, I suggest starting with advanced search. And once you get really comfortable with advanced search, you're going to see a lot of similarities on this ENFOS reporting page, and it will also help you be more comfortable with the step 3 report criteria, because a lot of those selections and filters that we show in the advanced search page are also shown in the report criteria. And this reporting page is more powerful, right? It has more columns, more search items compared to the advanced search. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes you need a lot of data, but sometimes with, advanced search, and I think this is really the beauty with advanced search, is you don't need all of that. You're just looking for, your change orders, for example. And that advanced search is a great way to get the results you're looking for on a single page with not a lot of effort. All right, I am going to check with my team to see if there are any questions on the advanced search page. And after we go through some questions, we will wrap it up.
Yeah, hey Torrie, we have a couple. First one here being, could you share maybe a couple use cases of searches that would be the most helpful to a project manager?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take this as a client employee project manager. And the first one I would want to do is my sites, right? So I would use the site module, and I would look at a contact and I would select myself. Right, so I'm going to select myself. We know a lot of times, I want to know everything that's going on at my sites. But to know your sites and to have this kind of portfolio for your sites, you need to make sure you're properly listed as a contact at those sites. So I would select myself, I'd run the report, and I would download it. Because for me here, 198 is a lot. And maybe you know exactly how many you have, and that matches perfectly. But 198, that's a lot. I would want to look through all my rows, make sure that I've got all of my sites loaded in there. If I've maybe handed a few sites off to another team member, maybe I'm historically still listed at that site and I need to delete myself. Or maybe I'm missing at a few sites where I need to add myself, right? So that's kind of data cleanup and keeping the data current in ENFOS to match what the reality is. That's really important. And using that contact information, I think, is really key. So as a project manager, having your sites listed correctly, I think that's really important. I would also want to check some finance items. And I would want to see, again, for myself, right? We'll do invoice myself. What do I have that maybe is still waiting for my review and approval? Or maybe it's been rejected, right? So maybe it's pre-approved, rejected, or reviewing. These statuses that still might require my action. And if I search those with the contact listed as myself, I actually have one. I have a invoice, it's in the reviewing status, and I have not yet reviewed and approved it. Now, if this is not showing up in your action items, or if you're not getting an email alert, that's something that your administrators can help you troubleshoot, right? Maybe the wrong contact was added, or maybe you don't have access to a site. If you didn't have access, you wouldn't actually be seeing it. But maybe there's something that you missed it. You can absolutely take action from this page and start reviewing it there, or use your links to navigate to each one. But I would use kind of this open status for each of the financials to check any work that might be on me, especially if I'm coming up to like a deadline, right? We all know all of our clients have, maybe we need to get all of our invoices in before the end of the month. And here we are on August 31st, and I don't want to be called out for not approving my invoice. So I double check and search to make sure I've got all of my invoices fully approved before the end of the month. So those are a couple I would recommend to the project managers, checking the status of your financials and checking that you're listed as the correct contact.
All right, a quick one here. Could you show how to use a wildcard in a search?
Yes. Let's go back to hierarchy. Though we can use wildcards on many pages. I like to use wildcards when I cannot remember how to spell things. So I start it. Let's see, we'll use North America here. I do know how to spell North America, but maybe I type in North Am and a wildcard for my country. When I click search, I should be getting my results, but let's try this another way. We'll do two wildcards. Because my region, because North America is not a country. That is user error. Thank you everyone who's saying this in their head. I feel like you're sending it to me. The region is North America. The country would be United States or something, Canada. Now, when I search the region AM, I see North America. And if there were other options, maybe South America is in here too as a region, that would also show up in my results. Here we go, South America. So by searching wildcard AM, I'm getting both North America and South America for my region. So the wildcard in between, on both sides, will search anything on both sides. The wildcard at the end would search anything starting with AM. And then, of course, wildcard at the beginning would search anything ending in AM. And we can use that on many pages here within ENFOS. And not only on the advanced search, but we can also use the wildcard in our search everything bar over here to the left.
All right, this next question has a quick answer. I'll actually answer it after I read it. Someone had asked, for the document search, how often is ENFOS indexing documents? So in other words, how long does it take to refresh when I load a document and index that document? And that's happening every 5 minutes. So pretty quick turnaround there before you're able to search the contents of your documents.
Yeah, very quick. And I also found earlier when I was preparing, I deleted a document and it gets removed from that search pretty quickly as well.
All right, last question we have here, very similar to the first one, asking for a couple use cases of searches that would be the most helpful for a consultant user.
Yeah, great. Similar, right? What I would do, I like the site list and the vendor company. I'm going to clear this from earlier. Not all of our clients actually define where you're working by your vendor company, but this would have your vendor name in, and then you can click search. You could potentially, if you do have access to more, you could search other ones. We'll search George's Donut Shop here. And we can see George's Donut Shop has 2 sites. So again, you can't do work at a site you don't have access to. So this is a great way for you, especially at the beginning at like go live, or if your client's adding in more sites, or maybe you've picked up some more sites. It's a great way to verify that you have access to those sites. I know a lot of our clients, they do try to keep this address, city information updated, but sometimes it gets out of date. So this is also a great way for you, if you do have that edit access, to view the site information and maybe fill in some of these fields that do need to be populated. So it's a great, using that site search is a great way to see your sites and to also check if those fields are populated, if you do have access to edit that. So I like that one. I also like some of the finance searches. So let's go to finance. I think a big one would be rejected, right? I want to know every single one of my invoices or my proposals or my plans that have been rejected at any time. And this would allow me, I could, resubmit it, or I can go in and then edit that rejected invoice straight from this page. So even if it was, my coworker across the country, it's an invoice from my company and it's rejected right now, and I want to get that corrected and resubmitted so I can get paid and get all the information my client needs. So we talked about rejected. I think another one, especially as we're on this invoice page, would be paid, right? The status for paid invoices. It's a great thing to check that information and to know your status is getting updated for your invoices. And that payment information then is always included in the payment details section, right? So you can see the paid amount information associated with each one of those invoices. So those are a couple I like. I also like the activity module for the vendors. We know many of our vendors are adding, tracking, managing calendar activities. So this is a great way to see any of our, maybe our in progress activities. What activities are we working on that's in progress? And when I search that, I can see that list, and it might remind me that, you know what, this target date was in 2019. It may not have a due date yet, but I want to update this groundwater sampling activity and make sure it's closed out and all of my information is loaded, my backup documents, that status is all closed out. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. We appreciate your time. We hope this was really valuable. As I mentioned, we really love this page. We use it every day, and we hope you find use in it too. Any other questions, feel free to send them over to our team, and we'll get back to you separately. Thanks, everyone. Bye.